Nobody does it better. Makes me feel sad for
Nobody does it better. Nice job, fellas. Welcome back. It's the Ray Lucia program, helping you to make better money moves. You know, we have been encouraging you. I don't want to use the term pitch, but we have been encouraging you to at least explore the opportunity to either buy a home for yourself if you don't have one. Maybe you're a millennial and you're just getting out and about. We're learning now you can get in with 3% down, 5% down. We're also finding out that if the down payment's an issue, the parents can help you. If the payments are an issue, the parents can help you. And the question that I always have, Steve Aledort, my guest, of course, loanfinancialplanner.com. Question I always have is, what are we saving all this money for? You know, if we've done a good job of planning, we've done a good job of putting money into our retirement funds and so forth, and we're going to leave a legacy. I've coached people for many years because for some reason it seems as if we say, well, I just want, after I'm gone, I want to leave my kids, you know, X amount of dollars, or they're going to inherit my fortune. Well, you know what? If you live until you're 90 or 95 or 105, your kids are going to be 80 years old when you leave them the fortune. So the idea of passing some of that money along to them while you all can enjoy it. I mean, raise your grandkids in the house of your kids' dreams, or the house that you helped them get started so they could get the starter home to trade up when they're hopefully younger than 54 years old to their next home. I mean, don't you think that makes sense, or am I just smoking crack here?
Especially based on what one of your last comments was, is, yeah, it's nice that you have mom and dad that have planned so they can manage their life, put together a legacy that they could pass on to make things easier for their kids. But God, wouldn't it be even better to be able to help them out while you're still alive and breathing, while you still have your full mental capacity, to be able to see the fruits of you being able to help out your kids who are maybe renting and paying $2,000 or $2,500 or $3,000 a month in rent, getting into a home that's theirs, that they can own, and potentially have either the same payment. If the payment's a little bit higher, it may even be a little bit lower, but be able to create their life with their kids in a home that they own, with you being able to help them out, smile on their face, being able to go and visit them in the house that you helped them out, instead of waiting until you pass on, because you're never going to get that joy.
Well, there's one other piece to this, and it has to do with this whole subject of retirement. And I take some solace in knowing that if my kids make their mortgage payments, they got their houses early and young, and Jeannie and I did help them, all of them, get into their first home. If they make those payments religiously over that 30-year fixed rate loan, by the time they're in their 60s, they have a free and clear home. And instead of having to sell the home and buy down and use the equity for their retirement, they always have the opportunity to do a reverse mortgage, stay in the home, not have to sell, not have to move, and they've got an additional retirement income.
Yeah, so based on how smart they plan out their finances, if you're correct. So if you're starting in your mid-20s instead of your mid-30s in buying a home, by the time you get to that retirement age, as long as you don't go back into the hopper and continue to refinance the property, pulling cash out to pay off debt that you probably shouldn't have incurred, then by the time you're in your late 50s, early 60s, you've got a home with a very low loan balance or no house payment, which then puts you in a position to make your retirement that much easier. And if you want to take advantage of the equity in your home, be able to do a reverse mortgage. Whether you're pulling money out, whether you create a line of credit that you can pull money out when you need it. So it's real important for people in their 20s and 30s to look at, where do I want to be when I'm retired? Do I want to make this easy? Do I want to put myself in a position where I don't have to work? I may want to, but let's make it so that I don't have to. Doing these moves right now can make a world of difference.
Steve Aledort, loanfinancialplanner.com. As Carly Simon just said, nobody does it better than Steve Areno. Okay, I teased the FSBO thing. What do you know about FSBO?
Well, you know, for sale by owner is what that acronym is. And in the past, we've seen people attempt to negotiate because they wanted to save on the commission, but realize that if you are a buyer, the seller generally is the one that has to pay for it. So in most cases, if it's being done or offered by the seller, looking to save that 6% and try and gain a little bit more equity. But in the marketplace now, with all of the rules, the regulations, the things that need to happen, as a buyer, you may want to be pretty cautious about going into a transaction where you're not represented by a real estate agent. I mean, even if the real estate agent goes, okay, you found the home, I haven't had to do any work, I'll charge you 1% instead of 3% or 2% instead of 3% to help you with the paperwork, to go over the important aspects of every facet of buying a home so that you're being steered in the right direction. Now, I'm working with clients right now. I've done business with them before. They're buying a house for sale by owner. And this is not a cookie cutter home. This home needs some work. So I've had to give them advice through the whole process.
They don't have a realtor representing them.
Correct, and neither does the seller. And I've had a preamble. Every email I've sent them, I couldn't tell you how many and how much time I put into going through the inspection report,
Sure.
which is something we need to talk about. But everything I've had a preamble. I'm not a real estate agent. This is not what I normally do. However, based on what I'm seeing, here are my recommendations. So, I mean, at this particular point, they had an inspection. Not an appraisal, but an actual house inspection. Inspections are not required to be provided to the lender. And this inspection was probably 20, 25 pages long with areas that needed to be handled for electrical stuff, plumbing stuff, roof issues. The property had no heat. So in California, you're required to have a fixed heat source. So I've had to spend time going through with them going, all right, here are the things you need to go back to the seller on. At this point, it's worked out fairly well. We started with a $535 sales price, and now we've got it down to $440 based on the amount of work that needs to be done. But I certainly wouldn't recommend either both the seller or a buyer to potentially do it for sale by owner unless they've had some experience in the real estate business. Because then, I mean, you're dealing with escrow, you're dealing with, the inspections, you're dealing with timelines and all of those things.
I have advised people that do that to take 1% of whatever the sales price is and just hire a realtor to do what you're doing.
Yeah.
Because obviously you're not one, and I'm assuming you're going to give them some CYA letter or whatever to protect you and your company, because if something goes wrong, they're going to say, well, we relied on you. And you're going to say, well, I told you this, and it's not in writing, and you get tagged.
Which is why all the emails that I send, it's like, I'm not a real estate agent. This is not what I do. But from what I'm seeing, here's my recommendations. You need to contact the seller. You guys need to come to a mutual agreement together. That way, I become as much of a third party as possible, just pointing stuff out that they need to talk about.
Okay, real quick, I've been reading about wire fraud. Can you talk about that real quick?
Wire fraud right now ranks as the #1 fraud in the nation. Estimate in 2016, almost $50 billion. $50 billion.
How in the world does that happen?
In wire fraud. And it's greater than any other type of fraud out there. For instance, in the mortgage business, and it's gotten a lot more sophisticated. In the past, somebody would find out that you're in a transaction, send you an email saying, okay, by the way, it's time for you to wire your funds into escrow. You've never seen this person's name before. Here's the routing number. Here's the amount you need to wire. And people actually have gone ahead and sent the wire. The average wire amount on a mortgage transaction that's lost through this wire fraud is $63,000.
Wow.
Once that wire goes out, it goes to potentially an overseas account. It's gone. I mean, you can't go to your bank and go, hey, you sent a wire out, it wasn't to the right person, because you instructed the bank on where to send the wire. Now it's gotten more sophisticated now. Now you have hackers that have gotten into your email. They now also know who your real estate agent is, who your lender is, who your title or escrow company is, and then you start getting emails that actually appear to be coming from one of those 4 sources.
Okay, 30 seconds. How do you mitigate this risk?
Bottom line is that when it comes time to wire funds in, is that you contact the escrow company or title company by phone. You verify their routing number before you send the wire. Do not take any instructions over email.
There you go.
Or
Steve
a phone call if you get. You make the phone call to that escrow or title company.
You may be talking to somebody from Nigeria. Who knows?
Good chance.
Loanfinancialplanner.com. Loanfinancialplanner.com. As I said, nobody does it better. 888-563-1070. That's 888-563-1070. You always split eights, right?
Oh, split them, baby.
Aces and eights.
Split them, baby.
Thank you, Steve. Nice work. We'll be back, folks, with emails. Don't go away.